Don't you hate it when there's just something you don't know?
Hold on, I lost it. Give me a second. Hey, Dr. Benji and work the space.
I don't know why they've started hanging out back there. I think they're just trying to figure out how to win a showdown. No, we'll see. They've actually been hiding out in the flags for about a year now, and I will be seeing them, I think, if this comes out on Sunday, in the Streamer Showdown, which you can find on Twitch, the big Football Manager competition, but that's not necessarily why we're here today. We're here because I have made a list of 8 things in Football Manager that you probably don't know about and will help you. So, without further ado, whatever that phrase actually means, let's get started. Number 1. Training. Now, I've got a whole video series on training that's actually almost finished, but this is about how to make those individual decisions on individual players. And there is a tool you might not know exists. And I'm talking about that thing that you get when you're going through your coaching reports and different bits of players training, like add this player trait, add this your staff meeting is what I'm talking about. You can actually get that on anyone at any time. Let's say I'm looking at young stud Ulrich Torbjornsson, and first off, why would I not be looking at him? Look at that jawline. If I click on him, I can go up to development and request a training report from any member of my coaching staff. Let's grab it from IOL 2.0. You immediately get your inbox with a complete report on how their training is actually doing according to whoever you've asked for the training report. You'd obviously want to recommend the best coaches on your staff to do this. You get specific ideas about where they've improved, where they've not improved, whether they like training, whether your individual focus, the additional focus is effective or ineffective, like perform especially well, showing improvements game. This is good. It's also not it. Development and to advice. You'll actually get advice on different things that you should do from different members of your staff for coaching, for recruitment, for development. Development's going to be relative stuff. Ollie is the best person when it comes to rating players' ability, players' potential ability. And there's also this lovely little next button. Sometimes they have multiple pieces of advice, one on their current level of ability, and then one on their potential ability, the recruitment about what level they are relative to the rest of the squad. The coaching can be about literally anything that you can use to guide your decision making on what to put their individual training on. Like, doesn't think that working on marking, positioning, and decisions because it's no longer a weakness in their game. Well, guess what? I want it to be a strength, so I'm going to stay on it. But you can get all of that information that you see during your staff meeting at any time through those 2 things. At least your information about, individual players as pertains to their training and development. Number 2, you ever given a bad pep talk and not known why? Well, it's never happened to me. Danelli, not happy with your performance. Now we're inspired again. Your mistake cost us a goal. Did it? I've never seen that in my life. The game's too opaque. I have no idea what just caused that. Now that I've emotionally recovered from that, though, I realized I was using a tool to see what had happened that I hadn't talked about in a video before. If you go to Dynamics and then go to Pep Talk Feedback, you can actually see your pre-match, halftime, and full-time pep talk feedback from your last pep talk. This is known as a team talk if you're not playing in the United States English version or in whatever language it is, that talk you give to your team. That's what I'm talking about. And you will see that the players were unhappy. They were disappointed. The effect was they were fired up and were confused. So that wasn't necessarily terrible. They're not like demotivated. It wasn't particularly awful. And the reason is they felt I gave contradicting messages. Whether I agree with that or not, that's the reason in the game. And in the pre-match, the pep talk feedback, it felt like get along well with the coach, appreciated the calming words. I relaxed them. You can get all that information and try and avoid making the same mistakes or figure out why something worked for an individual player that you've been struggling to reach. Unfortunately, I've not been able to find a way to see why players react to individual conversations during your pre-match, halftime, and full-time talks. If you actually know where that is, let me know in the comments. Like, actually. But this is at least helpful with the most of it. Number 3, I haven't even really made a lot of videos about the Data Hub because I find myself using it less than I should. But there's something that we all should be using that exists in here that very few of us actually know is here. Data Hub, all the way over to next opponent, and basically everything in here is incredibly useful. And each part of it you might not have known. You can immediately organize your next opposition performance in everything. So you can identify what they're good at, what they're not good at from the drop. In analysis report, you actually get a report from your analyst about what they did well and didn't do well in their last match. So for example, 32 of the 47 occasions they moved into the attacking third of the pitch came from the central positions. They progressed the ball very highly up the middle. At least they did in this last match. Where they actually didn't score from any of their 5 shots inside the penalty area. So this is a team that is clearly impotent. Well, they didn't score at all in the game. They converted none of their 9 touches in the opposition's penalty area into goals. Well, that stuff is obviously pretty statistically insignificant. You're talking about one match in which they didn't score. Something like 44 of 85 occasions where they allowed the opposition into the attacking third of the pitch coming from central positions is very relevant to let me know that I am probably going to have success with my tactic that pounds the ball up the middle of the field. You also get lovely rundowns on their goals and the goals that their opponents have scored, the type of shot, the type of assist. Like the fact that 46% of their assists are crosses means I need to close down their primary crossing players, or make sure that I am marking well enough to take away the players they're trying to cross to. And if you want to have some fun, you can also see pass meetings with the team, and you can see pass meetings with the head coaches, and a head-to-head table throughout your entire career, where I have actually never lost to Hartberg in 12 occasions with 10 wins and 2 draws, and I've actually shut them out the last 4 times I've played them. We've allowed 1 goal against Hartberg in our last 7 matches. They're just not very good. Now, one of them was a friendly. That's not fair, but still. Number 4, we're going to tactics. We're going to set pieces. We're going to penalties. You might think that there's nothing interesting on this screen. That's where you're wrong. There's a little button down here called the subscribe button. And if you don't press it, you're going to miss your next penalty. I don't make the rules, man. If you actually do, I am so sorry. Because I now will be blamed, and that's completely fair. Behind that subscribe button is something that says allow player who has scored 2 goals to take the penalty. This is an interesting little tidbit that can actually screw you over every once in a while, especially if you have an excellent aerial center back that scores a couple goals off of a corner and all of a sudden is up to take the penalty. The idea behind this is that in real life, when a player is on a hat trick, they will be taking the penalty. In our imaginary world, it's probably a good idea to turn that off on Football Manager so that you make sure that your best penalty taker is taking it. But if your best penalty taker is having a bad day, or you really you believe in momentum in your matches and you've had good success with this, you can leave it on. I just feel like you should know it's there so you aren't screaming at your computer when a center back or defensive midfielder that happens to have scored a couple of goals that day takes the decisive penalty instead of, like a Harry Kane type or Frank Kessie. I mean, look at those penalty stats. Number 5, if you are a fan of optimizing your gaming experience, you can actually assign hotkeys for you to move around the entire game without ever having to actually click on something unless you're taking some extra action. This can be really cool. In order to do it, go up to it'll say FM up here if you're using the Zealand skin. Obviously, it's the little Zealand logo tucked up in the corner. Then you're going to want to go from overview, if you've not been here before, to advanced. And then we're going to take it to most common. And then there's a little button called shortcuts. And this can be tremendously overwhelming, but just know if you mess anything up, you can restore all bindings to default. But you can click on any particular thing, like say you want a shortcut to go to your inbox, or you want a shortcut to go to your player search, or your calendar, or your short lists, or your assignments. You want a shortcut to go to your squad. Well, there are already ones assigned, but you can click on it. And in the bottom right, there is an add new button. And then you just press whatever button you want. It's actually going to take you there. So now H will take me to squad. It doesn't make sense, but it works. It's going to bother me. Let's make that S, right? Just hit S. And I know what you're thinking, or maybe you haven't thought about it yet. If you were typing something into a player search and I happen to type S, it doesn't take me to the squad. It'll only take you to squad if you click away and then hit whatever that button is. So hotkey away. Number 6, this is something that I'm going to have to go into the stream archives to show you, which again, if you want to watch the Streamer Showdown finals, which should be happening today. I'm a 2-time champion. So what's up, my homies? Yo, how you doing? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 2-time champion, number 2 in the world, right? Number 2 in Football Manager in the freaking world, bro. Bro? Oh my God. But the link to Twitch is down in the description, or you can catch it later on the live YouTube channel where we edit down episodes of all that stuff. Like literally 20 to 30 minute episodes of the streams. You can keep up to date, watch me play the game, and not have to deal with some newfangled website, even though it is fun. But on those stream archives, you will see that I have assigned a lot of my players. I mean, I can actually pull it up for you right now. Impact sub. I have negotiated future playing time pathways and those sorts of things, like future playing time. You can see I've negotiated that onto Kim and Alex Nazareno so that they are willing to take Impact sub for one very important reason. In registration for the Champions League, players that are on Impact sub or below, so breakthrough prospect counts, do not have to be registered for the Champions League. And when I say they don't have to be registered, I mean they won't get mad if you don't register them. You still obviously can register them. I have registered Igor Syodin. I've registered Kim Yun-kyu anyways, but negotiating down to that impact sub gave me the option, and they wouldn't get mad if I didn't register them. Now, the only exception to this rule is that if you have a player that's like regular starter and you move them down to impact sub, even over time, and they're happy with that move, they still can get mad every once in a while. But other than that, if you have negotiated impact sub, especially on their initial contract, or they've never been above that, they will not be mad, I promise. Also, if they're under 21, there is literally no situation for you to ever need to register them. So stop giving me headaches and registering people that are under 21, please. Number 7, when you are negotiating a contract, like I'm going to do with Manuel Oberschmied, they will often ask for a yearly salary raise. There we go, of 10%. And let's say you forgot to have yearly salary raises and you don't really know what your budget is going to look like in the future based off the contracts you have offered. Well, you can go to Finances, Salary, and Salary Commitments to project your wage budget out over the next 4 years to see how those increases are going to affect your bottom line and what other financial commitments you have are going to also take effect. Keep in mind that loanees like a player like Abdou Jing, who I've got loaned out to Cercle Bruges at the moment, he is going to come back and is on next year's wage bill. Even if I plan on loaning him out again, I can't tell salary commitments that. So you just need to be conscious if this number pops up a little bigger than you thought it was going to be. Your loan players will be returning. They have a little NA this year, and then they pop up with a salary the next year. So that's how you can spot them pretty easily. A good way to track how much money you are owed to spend and for you to be able to budget and keep yourself under budget, especially helpful at really big clubs. Number 8, if you go to a league and you click on the league, right? Competitions, click on the league, go to news, you can actually see transfer rumors. And this is particularly interesting to me because I immediately identify one of the players that is on my team, or perhaps I am rumored to be targeting somebody that I've not heard of, but then can go scout. These are the rumors that are out in public. So say if I am trying to trial somebody and I don't want anybody to figure it out, or I'm scouting somebody and I don't want anyone to figure it out, the moment Aiden Galindo pops up here that I'm trying to sign him, that means the world knows. It also apparently means that Paul Rusu could move for $8.25 million. And if you're coveting somebody else in the league, they pop up on here, that could also be bad. And it could be an indicator of how much you'd have to pay to get a player that you may be interested in. The rumor mill, though, is there at any time for you to take a look at. Unfortunately, that is the end of our list today, but the moment that I come up with 8 to 10 more things that I feel like most people do not know about Football Manager, I will make this video again, give it a different title, and hopefully continue to enlighten. If you want to keep it rolling with Zealand's lists of things, I did make a video titled 10 Common Mistakes in Football Manager that you can slip over to next. See you at the beginning of another video or stream. Oh yeah.